The idea for the Forbidden Zone came from this reoccurring dream that I used to have. I was stuck in the middle of a giant football field. What was in front of me was this unknown abyss, and behind me was everything that had ever happened to me. It was clear, it was warm, it was colorful, and in front of me was just like nothing, darkness and scariness. And I was physically stuck in place, and that was the whole dream. That's where the Forbidden Zone came from, that we have all been stuck. We've all been unsure, we've all been in a place of really not knowing where it is that you're headed towards, and you're kind of hesitant to go there because you can't see it. That's where the fog came from. And this idea of creating an entire world drowning in this toxic fog. And so if you go outside, you're gonna die if you're not wearing an oxygen tank. I knew I wanted to do stop motion because I love the detail and nothing else looks like it.
The part I like most about stop motion animation is all of the fine details that, unless you're setting up the shot, it's something that I didn't fully appreciate until I was in a behind the scenes mode and seeing Zach set up these worlds, and the very, very minute detail that goes into every single one of those shots is extraordinary. I did not know what I was getting myself into, for sure. The clarity of thought behind the story has to be so airtight that when you go into the edit, you know exactly sort of the thrust of the story that you're trying to tell, and I thought that was really interesting, that there's a rigor to animation.
The Forbidden Zone would not exist without the help and generosity of dozens of incredibly talented people who all volunteered their time over and over again just to help me out. There were many times where I called someone more than once and said, "Hey, I'm stuck, I don't know how to fix this light, I don't know what I'm doing, can you please help me?" And every single time, one of these incredible artists came to the rescue.
This is just the bare bones skeleton. We're gonna cover it all with rocks and mud and look like a real cave when we're done. So yeah, I guess not a lot of people realize how much work goes into every single little scene in a stop motion film. It's a lot of work, but it's a labor of love.
Dumont was lovingly designed by Grace K. Garcia. We decided early on that we wanted to do 3D printing and rapid prototyping replacement parts. This made animation easier for everybody because you could swap a piece out on the face without having to move the entire puppet. So as you can see here, the original plan was to move pupils along the eye, but that proved to be a little bit cumbersome. So I did a test this weekend where I actually took these little Delrin resin eyes and inserted them into the head. And so now we have complete movement and control over the eye. Simultaneously, Dick Kaneshiro was helping me put together a ball and socket armature. Now everything had to be welded together so that it was strong and would last the duration of the entire shoot. Once everything was together, it was time to get the puppet over to costume. Looking pretty spiffy there, pal. Dumont's amazing costumes were all made by hand by the incredible Felicia Rose. When possible, we made everything out of recycled materials, and when not, we sculpted it from scratch. Everything was made lovingly by hand. And when we didn't have to animate on it with a real character, we made the set out of paper. My friends Dick and Luca came over to build a custom motion control rig. This allowed us to put the camera right into the set and photograph it one frame at a time as it moved forward. The biggest set piece we built was 4 feet wide and 8 feet long. This massive set needed extreme detail because it represented a huge character in the story, Dumont's home. It's safe and secure, but also a remnant of the past. The train station's design was inspired by Jungfraujoch in Switzerland and the Hiroshima Peace Memorial in Japan. Because of the scale, we actually call this a bigature, for big miniature. Sometimes, the set can be really small, because the character only has to interact with a tiny little space. So I've attached a light to the motion control rig to simulate the movement of the nymph crashing. So it goes down and it fades. What I'm doing right now is I'm actually doing a test run to make sure that the move of the light looks good and the shadows are good. The puppet has to be moved, a tiny little increment, 1 frame at a time. It's a very slow process and a very meticulous one. But as you can see, it's all worth it in the end.
The thing that I think is insane about stop motion is celebrating getting 2 seconds a day. That's insane.
Almost every single shot required some visual effects magic done in post. Tristan Kilmer worked for hundreds of hours to make sure every shot looked as amazing as possible, painting out rigs, creating backgrounds from scratch, and making every moment look like it took place in one world. This film is about perseverance, and stop motion is a perfect embodiment of that. You don't have to know what it is completely that you're chasing, but you gotta chase after it. And you don't always have to have this confidence that you know it's gonna work. A lot of the time you don't know it's gonna work, but if you have an idea, if you have something that you wanna do with your life or the person that you wanna be, you have to chase that. You have to go into the fog and into the unknown, and you have to actually try and get that thing, even if you can't put it into words.